Let's get to Miami at Florida, the Brock Berlin Bowl. Also, two guys that were hired within like a week of each other, I think. Two extremely different personality types, but two guys that are facing virtually the same things this year in Mario Cristobal and Billy Napier. I think this is easily the best team for both of them coming into the season. I think it's the best roster Miami's had under Cristobal, and I think it's the best roster that Florida's had. They both have two excellent quarterbacks with Graham Mertz and with Cam Ward. I trust Billy Napier in game, but he's also had some moments where you're like, what? Why are there two players wearing the same number on special teams?
Can we count to 11 on special teams too?
Yeah. So, but I do trust Billy Napier to put together something more, this is the right word, like more sound for this matchup. It's at home. Florida's a 2.5-point dog at the time of recording, but I do think the strength-weakness matchup for Miami is a big, big deal here. Their offensive line could be one of the best in America, and they're going to go up against the Florida defensive front. That is the problem with the team as of right now. Maybe some of the coaching changes fix that, but we'll see. Either way, Steven, the conversations, the message boards, the message board genius after this is going to be really bad for the loser, especially if it's Billy Napier at home against in-state rival Miami. It is not going to be pretty for either coach, which makes this game super fun.
Oh, yeah. A lot of, kind of similarities like you mentioned there. It's year 3 for both coaches and kind of in their own different way of wanting to take a step forward this year. I think for Miami, it could be from 7 wins to ACC champion. For Florida, it's get Billy Napier off the hot seat, get into year 4, show progress in the program. So they're kind of on different kind of tiers coming into this game, but there's obviously a lot at stake. I also think of the marquee showdowns this week, this is the game that I feel the least confident in and like what's going to happen. Like I just don't really have like a great feel for how this game could go. I think in continuing sort of like the theme that we've seen this season, like new pieces, like for Florida State, they struggled. What does that mean for Cam Ward and Damian Martinez going on the road to play in the Swamp? I think it's a tough spot to go first game of the year around your new teammates, all these changes.
Don't you lean on him, Martinez, not Ward, in this game? You are on the road, hostile environment. You have the advantage between the tackles. Take your 250-pound battering ram and give him the ball 25 times. Isn't that?
I totally agree. I think like you said earlier on, the advantage that Miami has is that offensive line. That this offensive line, the way they should be able to run the ball, they've got one of the better receiving trios, receiving cores in the ACC. If Cam Ward is as good as advertised, this offense is going to take off. Not a ton of questions on defense either. You go back to their portal, they've got Ruben Bain, who had a great freshman season last year, but Tyler Barron, Simeon Barrow. I mean, this defensive line is loaded for Miami. There's only one kind of spot, and it's the secondary. They lost some corners and safeties. They feel pretty good about it. But it's still, there's a lot of turnover there. So I think, for me, it's like Florida's defense is the biggest weakness in this game. But there's also the other side of the ball, which is Cam Ward and his first start for Miami on the road. What happens here? I do think Florida's defense is like deeper in terms of personnel. They seem to have a little bit better depth. Obviously, some of the freshmen will help, some of the transfers. So, how far Florida's defense has improved, plus home field advantage, Graham Mertz, and maybe taking advantage of some of these matchups in the Miami secondaries, probably going to be the factors that decide this game for me.
To your point, I thought Florida would win this game all summer, and now I'm like, Miami, there's no reason for Miami to lose this game. There's really not on paper a reason for Miami to lose this game. They are kind of superior in every way. And again, on paper, this game is played in the Swamp, not on paper. So this is going to be a large indictment of the losing coach in a pretty big way, no matter who it is and no matter what happens. If it's really, really close and really well played and Florida loses a close game, they're going to have a moral victory out of that. But that fan base is done with moral victories. It's year 3 at Florida. You can't have another losing season. And if you lose to Miami at home as a 2-point dog, you're not going to have many more opportunities to get to 6 wins. Like you got to win this one if you're Florida. So must-win situation
or
for
the
both of them.
A&M game coming up in a couple weeks. Like if you're just thinking about getting to 6, like there's some early math that maybe could get them there still. And Florida State may not be good as too.
Look, I've been the whole like Florida's better than people think all summer long. if Texas A&M wins that game against Notre Dame, and then Florida loses to Miami, and then they also have to play UCF in the non-conference and Florida
Yeah.
State. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think Florida will play a very good football game. I think. Give me
So
Florida. If it gets to 3, I'm taking Florida +3. That's what I'm doing. But I'm not gambling on that game right now.
I would not gamble on this game either. Like I said, I don't have a great feel for it. It's almost like I think Miami's the better team,
They are.
but
They should
somehow
win.
Florida might just win this game. I don't.
That's how I
I
feel.
don't. That's
That's
just
how it's completely how I feel.
yeah.
Also great that it's in the swamp on a non-neutral site.
Yes.
Way to go. Good job, Miami. Good job, Florida. Hat tip. Well done.